Alrighty, so the Squire here, gonna do a patch 5.4 notes rundown. Mostly this is my first one doing it, so I'll open any feedback that I get and whatnot, but mostly I just want to go over what the patch notes say and what I think future, maybe competitive and for solo queue, what it means both ways. A lot of other people do it, I'm gonna kind of just do it my own way. So they mentioned that the new 120 AP item is in the works, which is on the PvE. It is like a static shiv sort of thing. If you haven't seen it, it's really cool. Look it up. They don't have a name for it or anything, but magic shiv, I think, is what I've heard some people calling it. Anyway, so mostly the big things are the Mordekaiser and Vigor changes. The Azir change is literally just for stats, basically, in spectator mode, what turrets count for. So Azir turrets dying or self-destructing doesn't count for it, so your fantasy points are going to be all good now, and everything like that. This Janna nerf is interesting because what it means basically is that she's not going to be able to roam as well and move. So she loses her personal movement speed bonus, and so it's entirely moved to people moving towards her, but not her herself. So it might be interesting because it gets higher than it was before, so I'm actually interested to see what it does laning phase wise. Because it's also got a higher range, higher movement speed, so maybe it might be better for, like, if you're behind peeling for your AD carry, throwing tornadoes or whatever and giving them shields, and they're trying to back away. If you're behind them, it could help them run away. It will help them run away better, but it's gonna make you a lot slower and your roams are gonna be worse. Jarvan, I guess they said thematically it doesn't make sense to give that the flag gives them armor, but it also means that his jungle clears are going to be a little more rough. I mean, they gave him more base armor to compensate, but I don't know. It's a decent nerf so that he's maybe not as prevalent, but he'll still be strong. He'll still be played competitively a bunch, solo queue a bunch. Same with Janna. I don't think the changes are going to hurt her that bad, either of these nerfs. I think they are nerfs, but I don't think it'll set them back very much. This one's interesting at every stage of the game. So it takes her more time to throw her spears, so I think it'll lower her mobility and elusiveness more, which will help tone her down a bit, but I think she'll still be really strong. She'll still stay prevalent and strong, very viable. Her kit's just probably too good to really have a little bit of hop taken away. Speaking of hops, Rift Walk is now Rift Hop. They're not changing the name of it or whatever, but the mana cost is lowered. I guess that helps, but this will be really interesting. Because of the mobility of his ult, everyone's like saying he's dead now. I don't know if he's necessarily gone. I do think it's gonna hurt him and definitely hurt his mobility and his survivability, but every time everyone said Kassadin's dead, he finds a way to come back. So I don't know. I think this one will be interesting to see how it plays out, but it definitely is gonna hurt him a lot. But he still scales well, doesn't reduce any of his damage or anything. It's just gonna be a lot riskier. So like if you want to go Rift Walk into a fight, you're gonna have to walk up close before you can just jump in and kill someone. Basically, you can still hop over walls and stuff, so I guess that's good. I saw a Reddit post about how they're doing all this stuff to cast him, but nothing to Nidalee, which is a good point. But I just have a feeling Riot has something in mind for the Nidalee issues that are prevalent. But you also have to keep in mind, while Nidalee is super obnoxious, I don't think she brings as much to team fights and stuff as Cassian does. And late game, I don't know. It's hard. Nidalee's an interesting champion. He snowballs really well. This, I don't think is as big of a nerf. I think it's a fair change to Katarina. It's like Jinx passive, where, here, let me turn this down a little bit, where it's, you have to damage them within 3 seconds to get the reset, so instead of just, you hit someone at the beginning of a fight, and they walk away, and the fight splits off, or whatever, and they die, and then you get resets, so it just makes it more fair, more, it'll still be the same thing, basically. Katarina will still be basically the same way she is right now. Bug fix for Lissandra, although interesting that they haven't really touched her with how prevalent she's been in, especially in LCS. Before the CLG TSM game, she was 11-0, so very interesting that they didn't. I don't know if, I mean, she's banned most games, even in solo queue. I'm surprised they haven't talked about anything of changing her. I don't know, maybe they feel she's decent right now. Now the Mordekaiser changes. This is going to take some time to really show what it's going to do. It definitely is interesting. So instead of all this, the costs on his abilities are lowered. And also his shield now goes off of, where does it talk about it? I saw it on PB, where'd it go? His shield is based off of his max health now, instead of just like damage it does or something. But basically he's gonna be a lot tankier with a lot less burst. So his Q gets bonus range when you're gonna auto someone, which is awesome. It's good. I mean, it's just like, it's kind of like Wukong's Q. So now if you cast your W, which is the like spinning metal and gives armor, magic resist, it gives like a magnet attraction, so whether you're walking towards each other, it'll speed you up, which I think will help Mordekaiser actually a bunch more than people are actually expecting, because I mean, for the only champion in the game that's immobile and has no CC, it's actually pretty decent to have at least something that helps him out. You can put it on a minions, so if a minion wave's coming up and you're getting ganked, you can just put it on that and it'll give you at least a little speed buff. I don't think it's huge, but I think it'll be a nice help. But they will not take double damage, because Riot's not crazy. Lower cost. Damage is lowered on this as well. The damage on his Q is not lowered. His base health regen is lowered. And then his ult now. Okay, that's really cool. So they took away the bonus AD and AP that you get when you ult and kill someone, but you get 25% of their bonus health and 30% of their AP. So basically they're getting rid of AD Mordekaiser and buffing tanky AP Mordekaiser. I think that bonus health steal, or bonus, whatever you want to call it, is actually really interesting. I mean, that's not a mechanic any other champion has. So it'll be interesting to see just how tanky you can get sometimes. Imagine if you somehow were able to kill a tank and as Mordekaiser and you're already a super tank. That would be pretty cool. Will this put Mordekaiser into competitive play? I don't know about that. I think it might be an interesting change, and it's nice not to have a Fed Mordekaiser walk up, insta kill you, and then use your Ghost and himself to 2v5 or 2v4 the rest of your team. Who knows? Maybe he'll still be able to do it. His damage didn't get nerfed that bad in some spots. Not as bad as I was expecting. His E damage is the exact same. They didn't touch his E at all. His Q damage is the exact same. The only damage that changed was his W, which wasn't a huge source of damage, and his ult. But they didn't change any of the like base damage on his ult, so it's still, what, 25% of your health or something like that. I don't know, I think people are overreacting, especially on Reddit. But, you know, Reddit knows balance. And I sure as hell don't know balance 100%, so this might drop Mordekaiser's rate at first, but sometimes that's just because people don't know how to play him or whatever, so we'll just see, we'll have to see over time how this happens. So now, Bone Tooth Necklace is just a passive, nothing too crazy, but it's just a... Oh, but it finally allows Rengar to have Poro Snack, so that's the biggest buff of all. Of course, you gotta feed the Poros on ARAM. It's very important. If you don't, like, you should get reported, basically. Bone Tooth Necklace. So it's just passive. So he has a trinket. E collision width of Dark Spheres have been increased. So hopefully, basically it'll just make her stun more reliable. Basically that's about it. Nothing too huge. I guess it's a buff. But it's really more just a fix, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's a buff. Because they like really, after they changed her before patch 5.2 they said, it got kind of messed up. I mean, Syndra's always been buggy, so. Okay, here's now another big topic. So they talk about how they either wanted to, they needed to reduce Vigor's damage, but you can't reduce 100 to 0 burst mage to 120 or tackle his outright reliability. So basically what they're saying here is they couldn't really just say like, you're a straight burst mage, but now we're gonna make it so you're so little damage that you have no counterplay, but you can't burst someone down instantly. So instead they decided they wanted to at least allow some counterplay while allowing him to still quote unquote blow fools up. So but has the tools to earn them in a way that feels fair-ish for his opponents. So I mean, we've all probably played against Vigor where he just walks up and instantly kills you. I know I've had Vigors walk up and press R and I literally instantly died. Like they only had to press one button. It's not even a skill shot. I don't mind it. I like playing Vigor. I think he's fun, and I do think that he actually had a decent amount of counterplay. He didn't need DFG. First of all, he still could burst people down without DFG, but Banshee's Veil pretty much messed him up pretty good. So I thought it was a decent amount, but I do see what they're saying about the stun, and I understand where Riot's coming from with this. So let's look at the numbers. So his Q is now a skill shot. It passes through the first target and stops on the second target. So like Lux Snare, Lux Binding. So, but now it has a bigger range, which is good for Vigor because he does have low range, had low ranges. So now he can reliably poke with it in lane, I guess. It doesn't say anything. It still stacks AP with it. So there's debate between Vigor players whether you harass with it or stack it. I think Debox is the one that says that you should just harass with it in lane. It's a great harass tool, so now it's an even better harass tool. Damage was not changed at all, and the cooldown was lowered. So, along with his passive, this could actually help him survive early laning a little bit better. The issue will be his E, which we'll come to. His W, lowered mana cost, fantastic. All of his mana costs were pretty ridiculous before. And a lower cooldown. No damage changes, And now it's event planning, so instead of it popping up right away and stunning, you could stun 5 people instantly with it. Now it has a 0.75 second delay before appearing. This is the biggest change that people are having an issue with. Reddit had a huge issue with it. At first I read that and I was like, what? What's going on, Riot? But I think even after all of that, after countless posts on Reddit and whatnot, Riot decided to keep it. I think there's a reason behind that. I think it does make sense that they don't want you to be instantly stun someone from so far away. I mean, that's why we've seen Lemon Nation now play Vigor support, and a bunch of people in Asia playing Vigor support. It's just that you literally would be able to walk up and stun a bunch of people instantly with a huge range on it. Once you're good with Vigor stun, it's massive range. Probably, I'd say, close to Syndra stun range, max range. And this is a reliable AoE zoning technique too. So I do get why they want this. There's no counterplay to that. They just walk up and stun you. So I do get this. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I mean, all the time, like I said before, people overreact and they're like, this is horrible, this is the death of Vigor, or insert champion here. Similar to what happened with Kassadin a while ago, although I think they ended up buffing him a little bit. But these changes happen, people freak out. Eventually I think they grow back into the scene somehow, if they somehow, whether it's tiny little buffs or just people picking them up and someone seeing them play it and being like, oh, let me try that, and then turns out it's not that bad. I don't know. If you want to see how this works out, watch the patch tomorrow and then go watch the box. He will show you whether or not, if it's really that big of an issue or not. I know he's the best, one of the best Vigor players. It's just the name that comes to mind. Look up other people on lolskill.net or whatever. Go check them out. I mean, they'd love to have people watch them probably, or message them somehow. I don't know. Something. But also, it's good that the mana costs are lowered. Again, pretty much all of his mana costs except for his Q were lowered. Cooldown was lowered. All of his cooldowns have been lowered as well. And the range was increased on it. So maybe you just lead people a little bit more. Yeah, they'll be able to tell, but I mean, it's still a big box. It's still a big ring that you can stun a bunch of people with. So it'll still be really useful in team fights. And Vigor has increased range on all this, so that's good. Issue, I do think, might be an issue, is that his ult didn't get an increase in range. So while he had this short range issue, and they were like, oh, we'll address that, they didn't for his ult. So I don't know about that. Like, if you can somehow get a stun on a single person, yeah, you can walk up and hit him. I mean, the stun's ridiculously long. I think it's 2 seconds, maybe 2.25 at max rank. So that, I mean, it's still a great. This is still one of the best abilities in the game, in my opinion. Like, basic abilities, not ults. But his ult, the only damage change in this whole kit was on his ult, and it only went down 0.2 AP, which is kind of big, especially for him since he stacks so much AP. But I don't know. I think because you stack so much AP that it'll still be good. Build Magic Pen, Void Staff, like usual, and I think he'll still be strong. This is a great buff. I mean, his mana costs have always been bad, but at the same time, you just use one spell rotation and you're done. So that depends. I think the lower mana cost will help his laning phase a little bit, but not having the event horizon instant is kind of rough for jungle ganks and stuff, because that used to be what helped him in his rough early laning phase. But I know, time will tell. Time will tell with all this, and especially since he got a buff on his ult cooldown, and his E cooldown, and his W cooldown, and his Q cooldown. I think he actually might not be too bad. I don't think he's as hurt as people think he is. I think the days of support Vigor in competitive will be gone, but I don't know, maybe someone will eventually bust him out in pro play. I doubt it though, just because he doesn't have wave clear. He lacks that, and just in a competitive game, he's not great. I still think he's a fantastic solo Q pick that you can snowball really hard with. And I think if you play him enough and get used to his E delay, I think he'll still be good. Xerath, not too crazy here, just 0.5 second max stun duration lower, because if you hit a full range stun, you can, especially late game, it's ridiculous. You get stunned for 2.25 seconds, and then a late game Xerath can just shred through half your health pretty instantly. I mean, granted, that's all positioning and stuff like that, but I think this was a decent change. I think Xerath's still extremely strong. You'll see him in competitive guaranteed. Solo Q, he's still decent, but his poke's ridiculous, his damage is ridiculous, his wave clear is ridiculous. He's still good. Xylene, another big, interesting change. I used to really hate this champion, just because he was obnoxious. I know, like I would always say whenever I played against him, especially as a support Xylene in ranked, I would always say, I'm gonna hate my life through laning phase, but late game we'll probably win this game. Like, he's super squishy. He doesn't offer that much damage, but he was a nuisance in lane. But now things are different. So his attack range is lowered. I didn't know about that. That's not too bad. Base armor increased. That's a buff. He completes his attacks faster. Basics attacks have new particles from the god-awful golden balls that they used to be. All new ability icons. So start with Q. It's kind of complicated. So now they're Corki Qs similar. They're similar to Corki Qs. They're a lob skill shot with fixed travel time, but it sticks to enemies and allies near it. If nothing comes by, it just detonates normally. So kind of like, I compare it to like a Corki Q into an Orianna ball. I guess that's a good way to put it. Like you throw it there, and then if someone like walks over it, they pick it up, and then or you can just throw it on top of someone, it sticks to them, and then it blows up. Kind of similar. The base damage was nerfed, and the AP ratio was nerfed. I didn't know they messed with the damage. Not huge at max rank, 20 damage, but 20 damage is still a pretty good amount. The ratios, good change. I think this will make him less oppressive early game, which I don't know. I think that was his strength, but it does have more range now, and a lower cooldown, later, higher early. I think this is this basically changes his obnoxiousness. You know, he can't walk up and double bomb you and half your health's gone, and what are you gonna do about it? You know, and he can't just do it all the time. Although he still has his W, so he still kind of can't do it all the time. Lowered mana cost, which is good. Getting him more in line with newer champions. That was kind of what they did with Vigor as well. Yeah, I think these are good changes overall. The delay is 3 seconds. So, but the most important change is he gets an AoE stun now. From only CC being a slow to now a ridiculously upgraded slow, which we'll get into in a second, and an AoE 1.5 second stun when he does 2 bombs. So if you double bomb it and they both explode in the same area, then it stuns everyone in that bomb radius area. So that's gonna increase. I think this will increase his play a lot. I mean, you can double bomb it in a team fight and stun a bunch of people, and then eventually ult someone and bring them back to life. And I'm not even gonna get into the cooldown on that in a second. So now they removed so his W, which reduces all of his cooldowns on his skills by 10 seconds, I think. It used to be on his ult, and you could just spam it over and over and over and over and over again until your ult came back up, which they removed it, but they also lowered the cooldown, which we'll get into in a second. So basically that's what that is. And then, so I do like that they changed this. So you used to be able to just time warp, either like speed up yourself or slow down an enemy, and it lasted for 5.5 seconds. And so basically, like when you had like 40% cooldown, you could basically put it on them, And as soon as it ran up, they're like, oh, okay, I gotta start moving again, and then you slow them again. So it's only 2.5 seconds now, which is better. But they increased the slow amount from 55% at all ranks to a scaling up to 99% slow amount. I don't know if that counts for the speed up too. It doesn't say. I think it is. I think it's both the speed up and the slow amount. But 99%. So granted, there is a movement speed threshold. Like, you can't, it's basically not like it stops you from moving. You all know that, like, Thresh's ult, when you hit the walls, that's a 99% slow. So it's basically like that. On a 15-second cooldown that he can reduce with his W. So basically you can be permaslowed late game, which I think they might tone this down eventually. That's a bit ridiculous, because you get 99% slow for 2.5 seconds, and so 2.5 seconds, and then your W reduces by 10, so there you can be basically 99% slowed for 5 seconds. Sort of, there's a little overlap there, but you get the point. Actually, no, with cooldown reduction, you could definitely get that to about 10 seconds. With your W, that's like a 5-second, 99% slow. So, I don't know. They reduced the mana cost on it again. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. It's not that big as it looks, but it is a range reduction, which varies how fat his target is. So I guess Cho'Gath, sorry dude, max stacks, late game, it's going to be easy to permaslow you. Not that you'll be permaslowing him, probably, but the point is there. So it is a bit of a range reduction, so it will be harder for him to permaslow you, but late game he will be 99% slowing you for 5 seconds. So his ult, the amount of time that you have your ult on you, because most of the time, if you're paying attention and you don't realize that they have a Xylene ult on you, like he ults you at half health or whatever, the enemy team will try and wait until it goes off, so now they don't have to wait 7 seconds, it's 5, which I think offers some more counterplay. You don't have to wait around for 7 seconds waiting for those golden hourglasses around the enemy to disappear. But late game, his ult is on a 60-second cooldown at max rank, so level 16. And then, your W does not affect it, but with 40% cooldown reduction, your ult's going to be on a super low cooldown. This reminds me of Kale's ult, back when she was a problem and being constantly played. Her ult was ridiculously low on cooldown, and you could just ult all the time. And it felt like, it was so obnoxious, in my opinion. Granted, I don't think it's that bad. There is counterplay, like you can wait the 5 seconds or whatever. So overall, I think these changes are really going to help Xylene become more healthy to the game in general. And definitely, I have a feeling he will, maybe not right away. People might not be like, okay, right away Xylene's OP. I think later on, people are going to, you'll see him played more in solo queue and more in competitive. I mean, AoE, stun, super low ult cooldown, 99% slow. Like, that is fantastic for a team. The utility he brings is fantastic, especially with an added CC. I don't know if right away, I mean, that happens a lot. Like, a lot of changes happen. I remember Xerath, he was changed right away, or he had that kit rework where he used to, like, root himself into the ground, and to now what he is today. And he wasn't picked up right away. I think that was mostly because Ziggs was more prevalent, but sometimes things just don't pop up right away. But eventually I think you will see Xylene. Please, Windows, stop. I think you will see Xylene become a lot more popular. You haven't seen him in a while. This was a bug with Sivir and Nocturne, stuff like that, where, like, on-hit characteristics would still do damage, like on Gangplank's Q or all these that they list. Basically, it's just the spell shields bug fix. Katarina and Tristana splashes. I'll open them if you guys haven't seen them. I think the Tristana one's a decent change. I think it fits more with her VU. That's why they did it. I don't know. I like the one that they had now, but I think this is fine. I really like Riot's artwork, so They changed Katarina's up. Everyone was saying it was ugly beforehand. It was kind of off. Her face just had a weird structure to it. That's basically all they changed, was her face and maybe some of the coloring. I think it looks good. Jungle item. This is an interesting change, and so kind of like how boots, when they added the swapping, where you could swap boots, but it costs like, okay, so you get the alacrity enchantment, but you wanted home guards later in the game. It only costs like 175 to switch or whatever. They made it so when you upgraded to like your skirmisher saber or your stalker's blade or ranger's trailblazer or the poaching one, which no one gets, which is another issue, right? Maybe we should look into, but that's not the point. It was free to switch in between them, so most of the time you would go back on your first back and you'd upgrade to ranger's trailblazer to just help you with your early clear, so you could be healthy enough to go gank or whatever, instead of just getting straight to your like the stalker's blade, the slow one. So now they're just making it's an interesting change. A lot of people on Reddit were again talking about issues with early game or like tanky junglers that don't have good sustain or whatever, and this is basically just when Riot's like, no, we want this diversity, we want them in there, and then they're kind of pushing them away. I don't know necessarily if that's Riot's intention. I think it was just too easy for junglers to they just said that this wasn't what their goal was, basically, so you can have the option to switch smites, but it just was working too good for them. So it is a bit of a rough change, but the Lee Sins, Rek'Sai's, Jarvans, they won't care that much, I don't think. You can just get Chilling Smite and work with it from there. Maybe just a couple less ganks. It'll still be rougher for junglers, but I don't know, I think it'll accomplish what they want. I don't know if it's the best thing, but well then. Sweeping Lens, this is just, I think it was just a tooltip fix. We were intending to make this change to make the Oracle's Lens cooldown change from patch 4. Yeah, I think it's just a bug fix. Bug fix on Doran's shield, wasn't blocking 8 single target spell damage, which is good in certain matchups. You don't see Doran's shield as much, but I mean, 5 AD change, it's not that bad. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, 5 AD, yeah, it hurts, but it's not huge. Yeah, sometimes 5 AD is gonna mean you're gonna leave an enemy with like 2 health, but I mean, c'est la vie. This is just, I think, trying to show that they do realize that Jarvan, Rek'Sai, Lee Sin are super prevalent and basically are the only junglers that are super strong besides Nidalee, and this is just their thing of saying, hey, we're aware of that, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's huge. It does hurt, but good. I mean, I don't know. Cleanup work, just bug fixes for ZZ Rot Portal. The item I hope one day to see in competitive, just to see little voidlings running around. This isn't huge. This is basically like Chilling Smite too strong for everyone. So they're just shorting up how, like you basically can't smite someone on the edge of your screen. You have to actually get close to them to smite them, which makes sense. Like, you could smite someone way before a gank, walk in, Jarv, and EQ combo them. Basically, you have to get near them, EQ combo, and smite them. Like, you have to be near them. And people were freaking out, like, well, this means, like, stealing dragon stuff will be harder, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just against champions. Because you can, like, dragon's wings are way out there or whatever, you can hit from the edge of the hitbox. So you can smite dragon's wing or whatever, or tail, or I don't know exactly. But the point is, don't worry about smite steals. You can still do it. R.I.P. Revive. It will be missed. Have a moment of silence for Revive. Okay. For all you trolls out there, it is now gone. So, relative team colors. So basically, what we know as blue side and red side. When you're on quote-unquote red side, you can make it so it's all blue and the other side is red. Cool little change. It's confusing when you're saying blue side and red side, but I think we all know. If you're looking at the map, bottom left it will always be blue side, top right will be red side. But now you can choose what color you want it to be. Melee and caster minions now have 4 different animations based on they die. That'll be cool to see. It's funny that they had these in their files, but they didn't turn them on and they didn't realize it. I mean, we all make mistakes. Semi-lock camera. I mean, for those of you who do use lock camera, I do, because I'm a scrub or whatever. I just can't. I mean, I can unlock it. That's not the point. This will be interesting. I think it'll be a fun way to do it, or just an interesting way to use camera. Drag, scroll, lock. Drag, scroll, lock is a camera feature originally built for spectator mode, which when enabled causes the camera to follow your mouse cursor. It's been present but undocumented in all game modes for a long time. Just another camera option. I think it'll maybe be interesting. I don't know. I'd like to try it out. Like the offset. Like they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with cameras, which is cool. Like the offset one, which I don't use, but it's cool. Player tooltips. Ooh, that's cool. So in addition to champion and match duration, player tooltips now indicate map and queue type for players in the game. So for all the people that are wondering what kind of game their friend is in or whatever, let me see if this takes us to a picture or anything. Oh no. But basically, so you can see if your friend's in a ranked game or if they're in an ARM or whatever, which is awesome. Just so you don't have to ask your friend a billion times if they're in ranked or not. You can see your own player tooltip by hovering over your name and icon at the top of friends list. That's cool. In case you forgot what you were doing. Actually, that might help. Maybe if you're in queue and you forgot what queue you clicked on, or if you maybe thought accidentally clicked draft, or if you accidentally clicked ranked and you want to play normals. That's nice. Unskinned wards were larger than usual, now they're back to normal. Teemo's mushrooms are better, or are exploding now. Bug fixes was Zinjao's Q. Indicator on Thresh's lantern. Thank God. I like playing Thresh. Made me sad. Super Teemo has remembered to fly. Thank God. I didn't know that was gone. It made me sad. Pearl's custom voiceover now plays 100% of the time. Cool. And then the big news, Sona. If you haven't seen it yet, this looks fantastic. It put a lot of hate to rest. I know, me personally, I was worried. Well, I wasn't worried. I knew Riot was going to do a fantastic job on the Ultimate Skin, because I knew with all the time that it was taking and stuff, it was going to be badass. I just was sad that it was for Sona, because I personally don't enjoy playing Sona. I'll buy the skin probably and play it, just because it's the best skin I've ever seen. Just the amount of effort that I know people put into this, and especially the names that they got to do the songs, it's fantastic. I mean, Bass Nectar, Pretty Lights, that's awesome. Riot is stepping up their game for sure for each Ultimate Skin, so I'm excited to see who the next one's going to be for, and very excited to see this come out. 25% off, so get it while you can. First 4 days, so not a week, not 2 weeks, 4 days, just in case. Don't miss that. In case you're waiting on something, or I don't know, get the money figured out now. So yeah, now there's no more TP Revive Karthus, and that's patch 5.4. big changes and not so big changes. A lot of it we're gonna have to see how it plays out, and yeah, thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe, and most importantly, since this is my first video of doing this, I would love to get as much feedback as I possibly can. I know I maybe drawed on a little bit longer than I should have, or whatever, but just let me know. You can message me on Reddit, I am the Squire, watch me on Twitch, tweet at me, at I am the Squire again, and leave a comment below, whatever it takes, man. Have a great day, and see you around.